Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Metaworld News. This is where we look at news pertaining to social virtual worlds, but also to haptics and some of the technology that empowers us to interface with them. Our theory being it's the experience, the collaboration, the inhabitation, the immersion of these places that counts rather than the model of headset you may or may not even wear to go in there. Anyway, let's get on with it. My name is Mal Burns. That's Mal, and then Burns, as in the poet guy. But on Twitter, you'll find me as twitter.com/malburns, all one word. Malburns. As with most of our Twitter links, it's called Squashed. Twitter should have called themselves Squashed.com, shouldn't they?
Hmm.
Then
Hmm.
they could go to malburns.squashed.com.
Oh my.
Oh,
Hmm.
yes. Oh my, oh my. Anyway, yes, as I say, I'm Mal Burns, but the voice you hear beside me here, I'll credit him first, actually, is James Atloud, who's busy tapping away on that power switching camera positions and looking at his monitor and making witty comments where appropriate. And he's there to pull me out. There to pull me out the rabbit hole as well, because anybody who knows this show knows that if I get excited or enthused about some post or other, off down the rabbit hole I go. And half an hour later, live on air, I'm talking about something completely different from where we started. But we, you just got to put up with me, haven't
That's
you?
that's
Until
right.
some bright new thing comes along that's just as good and takes over for me. Tough.
It's your
I'm
show.
gonna sit.
That's what I
I'm
always
gonna
say.
sit
It's
here.
your show.
Well, yeah, now I'm going to sit here and die on my own audience, aren't I? Forget them go leaving the forget the viewer figures. There won't be a host. Help. Anyway, yes, I should be fried in global heating, or drowned in global sea rise,
Mm.
or actually being in the UK, I'll probably be stuck in the middle. So I'll then fry and get drowned by the water that comes along to unfry me or put me out. Never mind, never mind. See, told you I'd do the rabbit hole.
It's so easy.
Okay. No, very easy indeed. Anyway, back to where was I? Yes, we have another Twitter feed too. Twitter.com/malburns, all one word. Squashed. We have Twitter.com/Metaworld News. Again, two words squashed. And oddly enough, there's another one. Twitter.com/Malburns space or underscore, whatever you want. Writer, as in the profession. That's actually got some old virtual world stuff in it pertaining to Second Life locations and art, but also a bit of machinima stuff. It's not exclusively Second Life. But anyway, the main feed is at Malburns, and that is where you're going to hear my headlines come from. And just to prompt you, because of course I typically forgot, I was too busy heading down the rabbit hole to remember the date.
Hmm.
Yes, it is actually, I had no problem remembering this week. I looked it up earlier and I was so horrified. I'm not going to forget it. It's the 28th of July, 2019. Now, that is not a particularly special date. All that is kind of ominous about it is the indicator that we are almost in August already. Now, what happened to spring
It's
and
gone.
summer? Well, we on Thursday we did have a roast here. We had the hottest day ever recorded in England, um, and it was certainly not a day to kind of move, really. I dread to think what would have happened if I'd tried to move, but by lying still with water at my side, cold water at that, all was well. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. One of the things James will be bringing to you is a little screencast, as it were, of my desktop here as I'm reading out the main links I've chosen for the week. And we're going to be starting off with a link to a site called road2vr.com. That's three words squashed. Road to VR. Road and then TO and then VR, the letters. No, there's some silly stuff about road, then the number two, and then VR. Just road2vr.com. And if you're looking at the screen and James has got it up, you will see their little logo at the top of the broadcast frame at the moment. So if you were confused about my spelling, you can just read it instead, can't you?
Hmm.
Okay, bit boring this, but important. So show of the way things are going. The now all the gamers have got some kind of headset or other. Consumers aren't really buying them anymore. Seems to be the general gist of things. Um, well, they are a bit, but not that much. But nevertheless, these headsets, be it Oculus's, Vives, and various other things, do seem to be turning up in the enterprise, and of course in I don't know whether you actually call hospitals and surgeons and things commerce. They're more sort of employees of utilities, aren't they? I don't know, but um, anyway, there's a team called well, they've got a product called Osso VR, and it's a virtual reality surgical training platform, and they're now reporting that it's in use by more than 1,000 surgeons a month per month around the globe. It was created to provide surgeons with an immersive, repeatable environment to safely practice their craft and is used in 20 teaching hospitals and 8 top medical device companies across 18 countries. And Brown University, Vanderbilt University, Hospital for Special Surgery, Marshall University, Newcastle Simulation Center, University of Hawaii, UCLA, University of Washington, yeah, I'm not going to read them all out. There's quite a lot there, actually. Right. Good news for also VR, I guess. Very specialised thing, of course, but good to see it. It's being used in surgical training. There are, of course, it isn't unheard of already that surgeons also do operations, not just for learning, but they actually do real operations using VR these days. Much more complex setups, of course, but when you're sticking cameras down pinhole things and having a virtuality interpretation of what you're seeing gives a lot more clarity to small detail and things inside human bodies, for example, that you don't normally see without the aid of a virtual simulation of what you're doing. Anyway, that's enough of that one, so I'm going to flick that screen away. And right, we now have a link to vrscout.com. That's VR the letters and then scout as in Boy Scouts, but again, squashed together. vrscout.com, no spaces in that. This is just a roundup of free VR films heading to you on YouTube, courtesy of the Tribeca Film Institute. If you go to YouTube, there are actually a number of different films you can see. I'll just scroll a little bit there so you can get the idea. Um, just go to vr.com/news to get to this article, and you'll be able to either follow the links or indeed press the embed things that were coming up here. We've got a team transport yourself to a rainforest here, for example. Dreams of a Jaguar's daughter. That is Jaguar the animal, I believe, as opposed to the car. Um, Team Water Melts. Do you ever fear of losing somebody special? It's a surreal VR documentary. The spirit of a young Maya immigrant guides the viewer through her memories of an arduous journey north. Water Melts. Uh, Team Jeju. You can read that as well as I can. If you can pronounce it, you're better than me. Right. And yeah, a general one about the immersive film program. So there's actually more to that if you follow some of the links here, but obviously the ones that are actually embedded on the page you can play on the site. Good stuff, worthwhile stuff too, as
Hmm.
opposed to run of the mill examples of Hollywood trying to become VR or something like that. Now, I must say, I don't know whether. Right, I'm going to do a quick pull me out the rabbit hole if necessary, James. But
Oh,
I
okay.
must say, having what I have seen of Disney's new Lion King um, has me awestruck. I'm not somebody who likes to use that word awesome because it has a particular meaning. And but I must say, having looked at the footage of that movie, I would say it's awesome, man. Like as in cool, as in hot, as in ooh, wow and stuff, but awesome, yes. But seriously, the main lion, for example, there's a still photo everywhere, but looking at the camera, I mean, the eyes are human. Yeah, or something. I mean, it's uncanny. They just it's just too real to be real, if you see what I mean. And the actual footage with all the movement, and it's not just lions. There's a meerkat that rides a hippopotamus, and all sorts of stuff going on in the footage, all of which is just so totally convincing. I mean, every critter in there looks like the real thing. Um, and uh, there are a few liberties. For example, the meerkat actually manages to go up to a little lion cub and which is snoozing, I believe, and is sort of he wonders what it is and opens its mouth and sees the lion's teeth and scarpers quickly. If that happened in real life, I think he would have been dinner. But that's beside the point. Um, if you like special effects, with virtuality and things, and you're looking forward to the days of the Uncanny Valley, then that's the special effects in that movie really do appear to be something else. Getting a lot of coverage too. I mean, apparently the Jungle Book of a couple of years back was almost there, but this is something else.
Hmm.
Anyway, yes.
Hmm.
So Tribeca Film Fest Institute is movies too. Let's move on from the movie business. Oh God. That is fortuitous timing. I forgot. I've actually got a link. Have got a link here too, which is fake. That was a good segue, and I didn't even know it.
Hmm.
Right. The director of the Lion King, who I was listening to an interview with him this morning, actually, as well on BBC. He's got a VR film he made some time ago called Gnomes and Goblins, and it's been resurrected and will be coming soon. What you see on screen there is a rather gorgeous sort of picture of it. It looks like something out of Mist or something, doesn't it? Lots of wooden walkways, houses in trees, and stuff of fairy tales. And we do need the stuff of fairy tales these days, don't we? Because there ain't that much nice in real life, is there? It's not. Well, no. Yes, I'd rather live in that place than living in a melting, a,
Oh,
me- a
melting.
melting, a melting, the melting world of politics we're in at the
Ah, I
moment.
see. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that's sort of what I meant. Yeah. Anyway, there's a 5 minute preview of this on Steam as well, but it's being revived and um, project's intrigue slowly faded from memory as years passed with no indication it was going to be released, but now it is being revamped and coming soon. That's really all we know, but you can check out more about that at roadsvr.com. If only it's all got that pretty little picture. Right, moving on, moving on. Oh well, this is the exact opposite. This is one of a couple of pretty heavyweight articles here. Um, this is an article actually at Forbes. So the site you want is www.forbes.com. That's FORBES.com. And where are we? July 22nd, about 4 days ago. Um, Meaningful meetups is VR the future of social connection? Well, undoubtedly, if VR is going to be anything, I would think it is. Although, whether you're talking about the headset or just the simple virtual worlds we've already got at the moment, I don't know. I mean, one would say that sort of, a lot of the best virtual worlds, I mean, you can create and collaborate in them, but basically they're a audio visual version of the old chat room, a lot of people, primary people, pioneers in virtuality, are people who ended up there from chat rooms and, just gradually moved into the add-on environment, so to speak. Anyway, social connection, I think, is the big thing for VR. Although not necessarily, I suspect that for VR technology, the hardware and stuff, the opposite is probably true. They are actually very isolating experiences, locking yourself away in a prison on your head, But within the worlds themselves, they're great for meeting people and stuff, possibly more so in the real world. And of course, to paraphrase, was it Corey Ondrica's blog? They are a case of collapsing geography. Um, and I was actually at a panel at the British Museum earlier in the week. Well, no, hang on, Friday.
Hmm.
And I was busy. Oh God, never remember the name, the titles of these people. But somebody put on the exhibition there. I was trying to convey the idea of collapsing geography to them because they had this touring, exhibit that was going all over the world. And I said, well, why don't build it virtually and put it online, and you don't have to worry about, the cost of transporting it all over the world to different cities. And anyway, that's beside the point. I tend to think that museums and stuff like that are really great sort of examples of things that can be put online virtually instead of relying just on the real world things. Especially as the artifacts of the future are probably going to be digital anyway, which is another point. Anyway,
Hmm.
rabbit hole,
Yeah,
remind me,
yeah.
please.
We're
Right,
going.
yes. This is Forbes anyway. Meeting for Meetups is the other future of such education. Forbes is a pretty big magazine. You've probably heard of it. It's a roundup article. It's as good a place as any to have one that will be taken seriously. They talk about alt space a little bit. Then they talk about the Oculus thing that Facebook bought, and then Facebook Spaces, which doesn't really need any more publicity, and it gets already from Facebook, to be honest. Then it has a look at VR chat, which is another one. Then it goes back to Oculus for the Oculus Home. Um, then it moves into big screen. Um, and oh, a nice one. It gets to Rec Room, which actually I think is one of the nicer ones too.
Hmm.
And it also tells you which devices you can use to go into these different things. It does tend to focus on things you can do with a headset. Whereas, as I'm saying, really, I think a 2D screen is fine. I mean, a 2D screen might be the better way of interfacing if for strictly social VR, if you see what I mean. But then again, if your helmet's on, you can probably shake hands or something. So who knows? Kissing doesn't work. Hugging may work if you've got the right devices.
I
You get
imagine
the
kissing
idea.
will work.
You get electrocuted. You get electrocuted. You get too passionate and you get an electric shock.
All right.
It's
You
called
cross.
Facebook censor. Facebook have thought of this. It's their plan. Their censorship plan will include blocking the how should we say the exchange of fluids between two avatars will not be allowed on Facebook, even if you're in a headset. I made that up,
Mm-hmm.
but I bet you they're prudish censorship. You bet your life it would be coming. You bet your life. There might be an exception made for the White House or something, but you never know. Right. Next link goes to virtualrealitytimes.com. This is 3 words with a squash job on them. Virtual reality times, 3 words squashed together.com. The logo, as you can see here, says VR times, but underneath, if you can read it, you've got the actual full link. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry about that. There is a motorcycle farting outside my window somewhere.
Oh,
Right.
I didn't hear it.
Um, you didn't? Oh, well,
No,
fair enough. I
no.
did. Okay, the acoustics must be heading the other way. Right. Oh, I can, definitely. Right. Hong Kong startup Sandbox VR building hyper-realistic virtual reality games. Um, Not much to say about this. Sandbox VR made the news earlier in the year when there was 68 million US dollars in funding from Stanford University and a whole load of other places by the look of it. And they've got a whole load of new funds now that are going to be used in launching new virtuality centers in New York, Tokyo, and other global cities. There's another little picture. Um, right, they already operate centers in blah, 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 Hong Kong, Vancouver, etc., etc. Oh, and I like this. There's a little pretty picture here, and guess what it's called? A virtual reality headset.
Ah,
I don't know. Is it an Oculus? Is it a Vive? Is it a something? I don't even recognise it. It seems to be tilted outwards and look a bit. It's a weird one. But
mm-hmm.
anyway, it sounds like a sort of casual article, doesn't it? Just a picture of a headset and say, "This is a virtual reality headset." A virtual. What's this kindergarten? I don't know what brand
And
it
why
is
can you
anyway.
see an image in the headset?
Yeah, well, it's a bit too
Yeah.
reflective, probably, isn't it? Oh, I see the image of. Actually, I do believe they make some kind of headsets that do that. They show from the outside what's inside too, a reflective thing, but
Hmm.
no, that just looks. The whole contraption looks too daft for comfort. I mean, if I was an astronaut and needed to strap something like that on maybe, but come on. Right, and another example of Sandbox VR's equipment. Yeah, those are actually duplicates of the kit. I guess you go to one of these places and sign in, pay your ticket, and then you get supplied with a probably looks like a gun of some sort and a
Hmm.
backpack. Is that, or is that a backpack? I don't know what it is. I haven't a clue really. And to be honest, I'm not that interested, but I do appreciate that out of home experience rather as out of the world. Oh Lord, what just happened?
Oh, I
Sorry
don't
if you.
know.
Oh no, thank goodness there it is. Right. Out of the home experiences with VR are likely to be popular. We've seen the rise of arcade type things. Where people who really just don't have room for VR setups at home, or just find them too extravagant, can actually go out of the home to a place that's really kitted out. They'll put you in a costume, they'll give you all your interfacing tools, and they'll give you an experience, a bit like a thrill ride at a fairground. Um, and I'm sure there's a continuing market for that kind of thing. If that's what you want to do. I actually went to visit a friend of mine who's got an old stately house in England here, and it's a fun stately house. They have like a entertainment stuff in the park.
Mm. Hmm.
They had a sort of spaceship ride. This I'm talking about 20 years ago when I was on it, and it bounced up and down on creaky spins and went sideways and things, and it had a film inside it, and you were really compelled to think you were getting it. I forget what it was. Like being blasted off into space and hang on for dear life. Because they were making this thing rock to and fro as well as speeding you through some space type thing. Um, but it had absolutely nothing to do with the venue you were visiting. But it's just a thing to occupy you, or a fun thing to put on at the site, and it had plenty of use. We always queued for it. Right. Anyway, so go to virtualitytimes.com for a little bit more information about that one. Now, this is very, very weird. It's only a couple of weeks ago that all these rumors going around about
Right.
Apple having dissolved their certain divisions and not doing this, that, and the other. And yet now we're getting news, prototypes of a mixed reality headset. Um, coming our way. As with everything with Apple, it's either rumors and they're either bad or good. I mean, you can anybody who's feeling bad about Apple can actually post an article about a rumor of something that's no longer happening. And anybody who likes Apple can then post an article of a rumor of something that they think would it'd be nice if it did happen. Too much rumor on the web these days. But I must admit, I like the picture there. I've got that bit already, but
Mm.
what I really
Hmm.
want is that bit. I mean, that look, that's sort of, you can believe that's an Apple product already. The lens area doesn't have quite the curvature I would think something ought to have really for, to be more immersive, but certainly looks something like I can use. I don't know whether that is a mock-up come from somewhere or a mock-up somebody else has done to, suggest what the Apple thing might be like. Um, but apparently, the Apple project does have a code name T288, and it will reportedly include 8K displays per eye. With a whole load of sets of sensors and cameras that will track the wearer's face and the environment. And I don't think it's any accident, by the way, that they show the Apple Watch at the side of it there because I must admit, when I'm out and about with my iPhone, I mean, I hardly ever take it out of my bag or pocket. I do, if I'm answering a call, I hold the watch up to my mouth. And, if I'm looking up, a notification, I can do it on the watch. I mean, I do have problems having to dig out my glasses, to read it. But on the other hand, I have that with the iPhone too, so it's not as though I'm not going to have to do that anyway. The watch is just somewhat convenient. I can carry on walking around with, if I got something in both hands, I'm still just holding my wrist to my mouth. And I like the way the two work together. And so the idea that those glasses, will work with the iPhone or maybe the Apple Watch too, or both, the way if they will all integrate, I can see that being nice. Imagine you're in an environment, you're seeing in the glasses, and then you hold the watch up to the wrist up to your mouth to talk and interact in the environment. Not everything needs to be all in the one unit. And you've got Bluetooth connections to your iPhone, and that does all the processing for what are basically otherwise just a monitor and well, you've heard me go on like this before. So quite a big article there. Um, and Apple's idea is represented in a patent and is capturing the real world and then showing representations of this on the wearer's display of the mixed reality device, which sort of goes without saying, really. It's an approach that is markedly different from that taken by similar mixed reality hardware manufacturers such as Magic Leap and Microsoft's HoloLens. Um, the Apple approach captures the real world and then renders these on the surface on the display of its device. Anyway, read more about that. So I'm not going to read it all out for you, but go to virtualrealitytimes.com, and the article was on July 24th, which I guess was about Thursday, something like that.
Hmm.
Okay, moving on. Our friends at Hypergrid Business.
Ah, hypocrite
This is
business.
Maria Karloff has an article. Um, This actually has nothing to do with the hypergrid or OpenSIM, quite frankly. This is one of the odd things about hypergrid business. She does include emerging technologies and things, which, you know, I don't know. I wonder if using hypergrid in a title is really relevant anymore. But anyway, she's looking at some Utah researchers who've developed a mind-controlled arm that can actually feel. This picture actually shows a chap wearing it. We got it there. It's a mind controlled prosthetic arm. And there we are. There's another slightly more close up picture. Um, There's something strapped on there, or is that just? So, no, that's definitely something strapped there, and then this is the arm. It looks like it. Well, yeah, it looks like he can control it with his mind. Anyway, we all know Maria loves that kind of stuff. She wants to be the first to be uploaded into the cloud when she becomes cloud worthy.
She does?
Uh,
Oh.
isn't she? Maybe
I
I'm
I,
just
re- I recall
going
Maria
on
saying,
memory.
don't get an implant into your brain." So I think
Uh, okay, maybe I've got it the wrong way around. Maybe she's the last to become a
yeah,
other. Where am
that's
I at?
just my impression,
Okay.
right?
Anyways, in that case, it seems odd that she would have actually authored herself an article like this, where normally she's posting articles of statistics about Open Simulator and the Hypergrid. But anyway, as you can see, she's got plenty to say for herself there about the University of Utah's thing. Right.
Hmm.
So, moving on to VR Focus. Here we go. You can get a grant here up to $25, right? To create a virtual being. Yes. Let's see. Let me
Hmm.
just go. Oh, come on, go away. Notices. Yeah, pretty little picture. Um, it's the launch of the first Virtual Beings Summit, which will be in San Francisco. Where else would something like that be, really? It's a conference aimed at those interested in the idea of digital humans. Um, Part of the event, the organisers have launched a series of virtual being grants, an initiative to help fund creators with interesting ideas for a virtual being. Um, all I can suggest is you read this actually. Um, if an avatar isn't already a kind of virtual being, I suppose it depends on whether it's an avatar and more, kind of in terms of how much of the virtual being is inhabited by you and what its capabilities are. Um, games, how they play with them, enterprise, how virtual assistants, social, how our avatars connect us. They don't really mention avatar by name. It's everything this virtual being here. Education, how a virtual being can teach us things. So there you go, and that apparently is a picture of a virtual being. Yes, indeed. Um, this could be Lil Malak. Um, Never mind, never mind. Read more about that. Read roll up, Magical Mystery Tour. Read all about
Read
it.
all about
VR
it. Right.
Focus. Sorry? Read all about
Read all
it.
about it. Yep.
VRfocus.com. That's the letters, VR, and then focus as in what you do with your eyes normally. But again, it's squashed. So it's VRfocus Well, VRfocus.com. Yeah. I'm not going to dread it. I have thoughts of some of our viewers actually typing vrfocus.squashed.com. So
Yeah.
I better be,
Yeah.
I better be careful about this. You get the idea there. Yeah. Okay. More brain control. More brain control. It's not written by Maria. This is somebody called Christine Fisher writing at Engadget. The website is engadget.com. engadget.com. Technology and sleep don't have to be mutually exclusive. Now, of course, they always tell you, not to keep your technology in the bedroom, because of those blue lights and all the stuff that can interfere with your sleep if not actually keep you awake. This is taking the opposite approach, basically. There you are having a dream or something with the headset on while you're asleep. That doesn't look very comfortable. I turn from side to side when I'm in bed. I'm not going to wear a well. No. Okay, technology wreaks havoc on our sleep. Even tools meant to help us sleep better can make insomnia worse. But artists and researchers from the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology have created a virtual reality tool to induce sleep. This is a device called InterDream, combines ambient music controlled by artists with kaleidoscope visuals controlled by the user's brainwaves. And it assigns different colors and properties to different brainwaves, so everything is always changing, including the colors. And more active brainwaves associated with active displays. And the idea is people's minds are more active just before bed, have a harder time falling asleep. So providing them with the right kind of visuals means they'll calm down and fall asleep quicker, etc., etc. And meditation is mentioned, which I've got to admit that there's plenty of virtual reality applications for meditation. But I think that picture. For those who can make out what's happening there, that really is pushing it. And if it's meant to represent the lucid landscape you're dreaming about, then your body and the headset wouldn't be there anyway, if you see what I mean. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
it's probably some artist's idea of a good illustration for the article
It's an
without
interpretive.
actually
Mm-hmm.
understanding the contradiction inherent in the picture. Anyway, leave that there. Go to engadget.com for more on that. Right. Now, this is interesting. Mr. Ed is an experiment in mixed reality editing. This sort of ties in with Mozilla's stuff, and it's a visual editor for WebXR called the Mixed Reality Editor or Mr. Ed. Very cute. And apparently, although it sort of takes its inspiration from an old thing on early Macintoshes called HyperCard, and they do explain it all there. Now, I mean, if you're interested in Mozilla's, 3D hubs and all that stuff, web-based stuff, this could be very interesting to you. It links together scenes and let me see. There's a nice little sentence here that I can't find it. There's a nice little sentence that. Okay, here it is. Mr. Ed looks a lot like other 3D editors such as Unity 3D or Amazon's Sumerian. There's a scene graph on the left, letting you create scenes, add anchors, attach content elements under them, and etc. etc. Um, right, it's built on a site called glitch.com, which is free web-based code editing and hosting service. And with a little hacking, we were able to put the entire development engine and document server into a glitch. This is getting a bit technical for me, but sounds good. And they're going to polish up the UI coming next, fixing remaining bugs, and fully usable on Glitch and hackable on GitHub. So presumably on GitHub you'll be able to download your own private copy of the authoring software.
Hmm.
And that's what it looks like. As you can see, it's in a web browser there. And at the moment, it's just, you create your scene, you've got your hierarchy of what's in the scene on that side, and then you have your inspector for the various items on this side. And I presume there's interactivity controls hidden in there somewhere. Um, anyway, if you want more on this, you want to go to blog dot MozVR. That's MOZVR. It stands for Mozilla VR.com. So blog dot mozvr.com. And I shall not imply any squashing going on there because you might misunderstand me. I'm confusing you now anyway, aren't I? Okay, I'm going to come to that. So let's move on a bit. Right, VR Focus again. Um, believe it or not, the UK here has a space centre. I don't think we've got any launch pads for sending stuff up, but we do have a space center here. I think we send them to Australia to let them take off or whatever. Anyway, the past week has been a celebration for space exploration thanks to 50th anniversary of the moon landings. So it's fitting that the UK's National Space Centre, which is up in Leicester, up in the Midland area, have begun work on a multi-million-pound development program building the Extended Reality Laboratory
Hmm.
(XR Lab), and that's apparently is a little mock-up of their multi-billion-pound thing. In very simple terms, of course, 3D depth filming, 360 domes, theatre, workstations, collaboration, etc., etc. So quite a bit to read about that if you're interested. Yeah, Peter Graham is just a staff writer at VR Focus. Yep, so if you want that, you want to go to vrfocus.com. That's just the letters and then the word focus.com. And this particular post was on yesterday, Saturday, July 27th. So it should be easiest to find when you get there. Right. What on earth is this? Oh, right. This is okay. The link you want for this, right? Get ready. You can always click through to these links by going to twitter.com/malburns and looking for the pieces where the links are clickable from Twitter. Um, the actual link you want is link.springer, as in springs of a bed and er on the end.com. But in fact, it may be difficult to get this because it's like a slash article slash and then numbers, then letters, then numbers and dashes and it's an academic piece really. So I think you're probably going to be better off going to link.springer.com and looking for this article by name. You can download a PDF, as you can see when you get there. Now, a lot of these things online give you the abstract, and then you've got to get paid to get the thing. This thing you get, the whole thing here is absolutely free to download, open access. Um, it was first online originally unedited at 16th of May last year, so it's not totally new. Um, Virtual memory palaces, immersion aids recall. I mean, this is strictly academic. And of course, it mentions head mounted displays, which were the new big thing when this was being written. And throughout history, humans have relied on technology to help us remember information from cave paintings, clay tablets, and papyrus to modern paper, audio, video. We have used technology to encode and recall information. Um, this is reminding me of something I went to on Friday, which had to do with, well, actually recording narratives throughout history,
Hmm.
um, with art as opposed to, narrative arts. Um, but yeah, we rely on us to remember information, so just like cave paintings. Okay. you can see as I scroll down here just how long this darn thing is. Um, you know, it's got citations left, right, and centre. So if you have any academic interest in all this stuff, you're in the right place here. Um, I actually don't think I can even dare scroll to the bottom of this. It's so long.
Oh,
As I said, the best way to get this is to download the PDF when you find it, and then read the PDF offline at your leisure. But there's some very interesting kind of stuff covered in the article. Oh well, I'm going to go to the bottom here where we got results. A lot of results, of course. Is this does this count as rabbit hole, James?
well, it is on
It,
screen.
yeah, exactly. Look at this. Look at this. Now we got the appendices. Oh, and now we got the yeah.
Academia. Yeah.
I think I can. I'm too lazy to even scroll back up this actually. So, um, Springer.com is the place you're going to find this. They're full of academic articles, actually. I mean, I've got the site I've got is link.springer.com and then slash article and then what it is. Um, but oh, I doubt if you'll get through if you put link springer.com and then just go to. I think if you actually want to go to the site and find it, you're best to just search for springer.com. That's SPIRNGER.com. And who knows, you might find some other fascinating heavyweight academic articles while you're there. They're not all free, I hasten to add. So this is rather nice having that whole thing for free. So anyway, moving on here. Uh, Pop-up time. Yes. Okay. Right. This is a right now. This is an interesting. This site, inc42.com. So lowercase inc and then 42 in numbers. So inc42.com. Resources, and this is the science of spatial learning inside virtual reality. Very more on the academic side, really, here, I'm afraid, but I mean, it's good stuff if you want it. Designing experiences always helps in perceiving realism in virtuality. VR experiences should follow the rules of successful games. And there are many ways virtuality experiences can trick our brains into responding like it's real life. Well, that's not real life, that's for sure, but it's a pretty picture, lots of colour in it. And ever wondered why global adoption of virtuality is growing exponentially? Is
Hmm.
it?
Hmm.
Is it? I don't
I
know.
know that's quite a statement.
Yeah, quite a statement indeed. But again, lots of stuff here. Um, Received signals in our brain are processed as 86 billion neurons goes through our brain. Now, I'm not even sure how many O's there are in a billion, let alone 86 of them.
Maybe
Anyway,
somebody else's brain, not my brain.
well, I don't know. I think there's probably is an average. There probably is. I don't know what exactly what a neuron is. It's probably just the tiniest little transmitter. So it's not like 86 billion thoughts at once. Would that it were. Uh, Up to 1,000 trillion synaptic connections through our electrochemical signal. You really are going to want to know this. It's fascinating stuff, but I'm really no expert, and I'm not going to read it all out to you. Yeah, it's slightly shorter than the epic on the previous one, but not that much. The site you want again is inc42.com. And if you can get to the resources, it's yesterday's post, Saturday. So if you go pretty quickly, you probably find it fairly easy and sort of what's new. It's called The Science of Spatial Learning Inside Virtuality. And do remember, go to twitter.com/malburns, or one word, to find the clickable links for all of this stuff. Which this will be pretty much top of my feed. And yeah, the article written by Dr. His name is Dr. Barthani, and he's wearing a headset just to prove he's cool. Um, I think this is the academic qualification, CSS, but whenever I see that, I think of cascading style sheets and
Uh,
Dr. Bassani's. Yeah. Very
mm-hmm.
odd. Anyway, so as you see, this today has been full of these things. Unfortunately, I think that is something you do have to, yeah, you do have to read it there. Most web browsers these days allow you to save a web page as a PDF if you want. So you can probably do it that way, but there doesn't appear to be one that's actually downloadable. Okay, so we'll put that one away. Right, back to virtualrealitytimes.com. Remember, this VR Times is actually virtual reality times, three words squashed into one.com. And a foundation called the Knight Foundation is in a 750,000 US dollar drive to support immersive technology for the arts. This is actually published today. This is the most recent thing I've got up here, I think. Um, I'm not sure where this is. I presume James L. Knight Foundation is, I presume it's in the States. They've partnered with Microsoft for this anyway, as well. Um, Basically, I guess it's somewhere to go if you're looking for funding and promotion of various things. Um, that apparently is virtual reality art. Oh, I should have kept. There was a wonderful film. I might have posted on Facebook of somebody using. I think it was Facebook. Some. I don't know, it was Talkbrush or some 3D painting program during the week, and they speeded up the real life painting job, but you know, really quite an intricate thing they managed to build. Yeah, a load of things referenced here. This seems to be a week for academic referenced articles, doesn't it? Okay,
That's
you
fine.
want to go to virtualrealitytimes.com, and that is actually published today, so you'll probably find that somewhere near the top of the. They do publish a lot of articles, as you can probably see here. So just remember, you're looking for Knight Foundation and immersive technology for the arts, and hopefully you will find something there. Or click through from my Twitter feed. I keep saying it. Okay,
I know
so
that place, High Fidelity.
yes, indeed. This some of the open source developer discussions at High Fidelity are now being filmed again and posted. They are not the general discussions that the town hall kind of thing used to be back when they were doing public events and stuff like that. Those they're still pretty free to attend. Um, this one actually well it was published on the 24th of July, but actually the meeting in question was on July the 10th, so it's about nearly 2 weeks ago now. But basically, you can record that. You'll find the film for this embedded on twitter.com/metaworld news feed. And obviously, you can click through to YouTube itself if you want to. Or if you just want to go straight to YouTube, you can look up, here we are, High Fidelity. And if you go to their account, then obviously you will kind of see their stuff and say, oh no, that's YouTube giving me other stuff. Oh, they seem to think I'm looking for Pink Floyd. Go figure, go figure.
That
It
sounds fun.
must be based on a recent search of mine or something. And yeah.
I'm always ready for
Oh,
a little
this is
Pink Floyd.
Philip himself was at this one too. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm not here. There's over an hour of that. I'm not going to play that for you. Right. Where's my thing? You put that one away. Um. Okay. My desktop. Okay. This is another one for High Fidelity. This is probably a bit more fun rather than just the thing. This is 2 hours 15 minutes long actually, and this her name is Chaos, or that's how you pronounce it. I used to keep calling her XOS or whatever, but I ended up sitting down with her for a couple of hours once for a meeting, and just say Chaos. Chaos Princess anyway, and she has her own channel here, which I didn't realise. But this is doing her own little tour of High Fidelity and chatting to other residents there, and it's all That's Kelsey's voice. She's actually from Germany, but she speaks pretty good English. Okay. Now, as you can see, this is not Hypothetics channel. This is her own channel, which is XaosPrinces, Chaos Princess. And this again was published on the 18th. On the 18th. So that was about a week ago now. So I'm putting that one away. I love listening to her, but there you go. You don't need to see that. That is us. Right. That, oh yeah, I'm just keeping that open. I haven't downloaded the PDF for that myself, so I'm going to do it when we're finished here. Right, and yeah, finally another YouTube. This is actually a link from twitter.com Mal Burns. Um, the Upload VR, which we've been mentioning quite a lot in the links and stuff, have also they also seem to be doing their own little weekly podcast. Whether this is actually the first one or not, I'm not sure. I think it probably is. It's simply called VR Recap, and it's like 3.5 minutes long.
Upload VR recap. Let's get into the week's biggest headlines. First up, you'll soon be able to use Oculus Go apps on your Oculus Quest. VR legend John Carmack confirmed that Go emulation will be coming to Quest later this year. Quest will be able to replicate Go's controls, and in some cases, Oculus is even working with developers to create hybrid apps. We still have a lot to learn about how exactly this will work, but it's no doubt welcome news for both Quest owners and Go developers. Sticking with Quest, Oculus this week updated the headset. Both the standalone device and the Oculus Rift S just got big upgrades to their inside-out tracking, making them more stable. Expect less time trying to find where your controller disappeared to and more time enjoying VR. Meanwhile, Oculus is continuing to work on Rift S's annoying screen flash bug, but just released Oculus venues for Quest. In PSVR news, this week we sadly said goodbye to Starblood Arena. White Moon Dreams VR exclusive shooter went offline on Thursday after one final community game night on Wednesday. Starblood was a lively action game with fun combat. Like many VR multiplayer games though, it struggled to build a consistent user base. Sony will also be taking Drive Club VR offline next March, so get in some game time while you still can. In more positive news, Valve Index is now shipping immediately in the US. The new Steam VR headset launched in June and had been backordered all the way to September, but Valve caught up with orders faster than expected. Fans in Europe may still have to wait a little longer, but anyone in the US can expect to get their one pretty soon now. Finally, it looks like one of our favourite VR experiences is coming back from the dead. WeVR just teased the return of Gnomes and Goblins, an interactive story-driven app co-created with Iron Man and Lion King director Jon Favreau. We got a small taste of the piece back in 2016, but hopefully this week's return means we'll be getting a full version in the near future. We'll keep our eyes peeled for more. Now it's time to take a look at some of the biggest VR releases of the week.
Okay,
So
well, I
are
might
you
go to.
buying some of these, Mel?
Now, I was just going to say, I might just get into trouble if I play the whole thing as part of our show, but
Yeah.
it's 3 minutes. Actually, it would make a good, like, quick slice there because, I mean, apart from the Gnomes and Goblins piece just there, it's all stuff that I've seen posted as blogs, but I haven't included in my list because, do I really need to know that Mozilla is now VR is now in Oculus, or which Oculus anyway? Is
I
that Oculus Go or Oculus Quest or Oculus the original? It's all
yeah.
too much for me.
I did recognize the previous story you did about the Lion King director Jon Favreau and the
Yeah,
VR thing that he had. So it's interesting to see some motion graphics of that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, where do you stop with these things? I mean, to me, I mean, it's Disney. It's all mainstream. It's very conservative sort of stuff. But on the other hand, it just seems to me that this is a landmark movie in the same way that a few years ago James Cameron's Avatar was and stuff like that. I just can't find any. Yeah, yeah, as he said in the BBC interview, in 10 years' time, we'll be in real trouble because he said what they could achieve realistically in the Lion King. There was almost nothing they can't do now, except possibly get convincing human faces. And he said within 10 years you'll get that, and you won't know what's real and what's not anymore. Even to minus detail. And that is quite scary. I remember when I watched I think it's what's it called, Rogue Planet or something. It was a Star Wars offshoot.
Rogue One.
Uh, that's right, and it leads into the very first scene from the original Star Wars, and they've done a CGI of Carrie Fisher, who was, of course, departed by then, I think. Um, to sequence into the first scene of Star Wars where she actually appears. But even though it's only a flash on screen for a couple of seconds to put you in the right time and place, it wasn't her. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was like a doll of her. And, they deliberately did it quick, presumably so we wouldn't notice the blemishes. But the human eye takes in a lot, especially if you're familiar with the character. But apparently, that really is. It was the same with they had scenes. I think it was the same movie with Christopher Plummer and Christopher Lee, not yeah, they had, Plummer and Lee, two British actors who were in the original Star Wars, and they had those made up electronically, based on scanning and stuff. And I didn't find them convincing at all. They were convincing enough that I knew which characters they were meant to be, but they weren't convincing. The critters were more lifelike than these these models. Um, but it does raise things. Like in holograms on stage and things. When we get the scanning of humans and human faces and the AI is right. You know, um, the what will be real and what won't be. I mean, at the moment, we're just worried about fake news being real and real news in print. We don't know what's what anymore, and online in print as well. But when we get CGI and stuff coming to this extent, I mean, I got pissed off with teaching Photoshop about 20 years ago. Because I got fed up of clients coming in who were travel agencies. They didn't want to learn how to use Photoshop. They wanted to know one thing: how do I cut out this schematic and render it fully built, and how do I move it from an obscure location onto a nice exotic beach, and how to prepare it to print it in a catalogue advertising a holiday. I thought, you don't wait till you built the damn thing and decided what beach it's going to be on, if indeed it's on a beach at all, then photograph the real thing. You can't bring out travel brochures with fictional locations on that you haven't even built yet, and you're just going to hope they're built and will be. Half these places weren't even in the locations the Photoshop picture implied they were in. But I mean, it's far worse than that now. We're in. The power of what we can do with words and images is fascinating, but it's very dangerous territory when sort of if a compute, somebody can put online a video with a computer generated me that looks like me in it in some location I would not want to be seen in. That kind of thing. It's getting could really get out of order.
Hmm.
But the
And
servers
come,
controlling us, the servers controlling of us will probably be underwater by then, so let's not
yeah,
worry about
right,
it too
right,
much.
exactly. Or
Yeah,
we'll be cooked in an oven.
yeah, well, the servers are sunk underwater, and
Yeah, yeah.
whatever's above the oceans will be bubbling away, melting into them. Yeah. Oh dear, what a wonderful future. I I think we need to go to. Is it Triton?
Oh, Titan
There's,
around
I don't
Jupiter.
know whether it's Titan, but it could be Titan. That's a Jupiter moon, isn't it? I
Yeah,
thought it
yeah.
was the other moons around something. One of them anyway is habitable, and
Yeah,
I
sort
guess
of.
it makes a change from heading to Mars. They're gonna head some stuff out that way. Mind you, that's a much longer journey than
Hmm.
Mars. Um, but
Much.
they reckon it might better colonize there. But we'd be there 100 years or something, and then we'd have a meltdown there too, probably.
Hmm.
We'd probably start nuking it in hoping we can terraform it, hoping that will work to terraform it, and then find out, oops, did that wrong. Better head home.
Oh, there was somebody
Oh dear.
there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. What is there? Some native life form on the moon of Jupiter, and we go and nuke the bloody place by mistake. Oh, we humans never learn, will we? Right. Okay. Yeah. Actually, that's it. So, any other thoughts on the stuff we were talking about,
Well, just
James?
just one. I'm actually quite keen on the idea of virtual beings. I've thought about that for a
Uh,
long time, and I um I don't think there are virtual beings yet, but I do think something like um, some way of registering a character that it's not copyright, but it's the creation of a virtual presence that can be, you might take for example, we take our virtual presence here on OpenSim, and sometimes we can bring it back to Second Life. Sometimes we take our
Yeah.
presence someplace else, and there's really no kind of central tracking of that. And I always thought that a creation like this, rather than having something like a copyright, would need something more akin to a birth certificate and a certification of who created it and how it's used. And I don't know. I've always
Well,
liked the idea of virtual beings as something that eventually we're going to face. Somehow certifying, and like a birth certificate certifies a person in civilization, some kind of certificate would certify a virtual being.
I absolutely agree. I mean, one thing that really annoys me, and it's only as a parallel, is, what, 20 years ago or something, I got, a universal email address that was meant to be, like a postcode for,
Mm-hmm.
all British addresses. But the post office who were meant to get it never took it over. It went to British Telecom, who then absorbed it. And nowadays you can't even get to use it without paying British Telecom, for the service. But I always thought of that as my email address, just as the postcode in my house is my postcode. I don't pay anybody for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of my identity in terms of where I live. Now, it's the same with myself. Um, I like to think that I can get a look for my basic avatar that is going to be the same on all platforms. Hopefully, could just jump between platforms, so that's unlikely. But it's very much me. And you're right. I don't want it to be particularly be a trademark that is me. I just want it to be recognizable as me, the avatar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used to have an avatar. God knows when was it? In the 90s, I suppose. In Yahoo. Remember their original mail and stuff? You got
Oh,
a little
sure.
cartoon icon, basically.
Right.
They called that an avatar. It didn't even move. It wasn't a moving cartoon like a GIF. It was just, they called it an avatar. It was a visual, picture that was probably no closer to you than an original Second Life noob look, But the idea was, people on Yahoo Messenger saw this avatar of you. They didn't see a photograph of you like they do on Skype all these days. They just saw this avatar that, was the one you'd chosen to represent yourself. And no, I totally agree with that. I mean, it annoys me. Our avatar really is our digital being, if you see what I mean. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is we've got lots of different digital means at the moment. We haven't got like the Open Avatar project of that must be God near a decade ago now.
Yeah.
Where you
Yeah.
you registered your avatar online independently, and then they gave you differently formatted copies of that avatar that you could upload into different worlds and spaces. They gave you a mesh one. I don't know, I forget, but I was definitely able to upload a same avatar all over the place, but it wasn't. I didn't have one file to upload. I had a whole selection of files of the same avatar, and I had to know which one to use in each particular world, kind of thing. But the actual rendering of the master avatar, as it were, was done by the site, who then registered it for you. I mean, in their own registry, because there is no registry for them to, it's not like registering a website where they're a broker. Um, but they would keep a visual record of that avatar and your name and address, and so it was associated with you. And yeah, I mean, that was the kind of thing that I said, like, like people go on the web and, before they do it, they've got to register with an ISP and stuff like that. And usually that comes with the process of getting their first email address. It probably should just be something like that when you first have need of a virtual presence for yourself that is anything more than, you on your, screen. Um, with something you go to. and hopefully you don't have to keep changing it, any more than you would have to keep changing an email address every day. Um, so yeah, I think that. I mean, when I was reading that thing out, I was thinking to myself, what's the difference between a virtual being and an avatar? But of course, the idea of the virtual being is presumably it goes beyond what we currently call avatars. I
Yeah.
mean, if in 10 years' time our avatars are holograms of our real selves, we're going to be entering an uncanny valley anyway. And if they're actually genuine holograms, then if they're replicas of our real selves, they will be very much copyrighted and trademarked anyway, because you'll need to be yourself to generate it, if you see what I mean.
Yep.
But that, to me, the virtual being could be one of two things. It can either be referring to some kind of totality of personality and existence online in virtual space, or the way it's described, it could equally be referring to AI. In other words, if you create enough AI routines and you create an avatar and imbibe it with a personality, it may not be you, but it may be possible for you to create what I would call a virtual being. It's like we create places in virtual worlds at the moment. We behave like, given any chance we can, we behave like God, don't we? So if we get, if you're into that kind of thing, in games they call them the game gods, don't they? If you run a game, um, quite frankly, if you're going to be able to create real life in electronic form, that would certainly qualify as a virtual being. It would only be an electronic life form, but it could be, with AI routines and everything else, it could be as capable within the electronic realm as our organic beings are in the real world.
Yep. Well, all
And
it
if it
takes
had
is
if it had autonomy as well, where would we be?
yep. All it takes is someone to say, "Okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to call it." I think the article that you shared was really related more in the sense of the transhuman movement, because I think I saw
Yeah,
that referenced a couple times. So, but
yeah.
it's an interesting topic. It's certainly another area of what some direction that might happen in the future.
It is, that's what futurology and futurism is all about,
Right.
really. We don't know what the future holds. I mean, the transhumanism thing is fine, but every time you read about instances like that, there seems to be almost like a roadmap, even if it's a bit abstract there. That says what transhuman is or what will be, etc. And the chances are nothing will happen the way it is the roadmap suggests. But all those sort of things will come about, but they may come about in very different ways from what is projected. I mean, most of the real major changes like that, they're like mobile phones and things. People's lives change over the space of 10 years, but it happens by stealth because something comes along that brings in the change, but you don't realize it while it's happening. The way we are now communicate mobile. We're on. We're not on the telephone anymore in the sense that it's just mobile. We assume that we're online with everybody everywhere all the time anyway, even if we're out and about. And that universally, became a norm over the space of about 10 years. But if you'd actually tried to predict the future of communications 10 years earlier, you probably wouldn't have come up with that exact example that exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it was a kind of the impact was by stealth. It just captured the public imagination, and I think that's why headsets are not happening. What you do, wearing a motorcycle helmet while you're watching television is not really capturing the public imagination. It's a geek thing or a gamer thing or something, or something in a lab or in an outside entertainment. It's not. The glasses of some sort may capture the public imagination, certainly closer to it, but you can never predict anything.
Right.
Um, who predicted the iPad until it came? It was like science fiction has dropped something
Star
on
Trek.
our
Star
head.
Trek did.
And it wasn't until you held it and started using it, the tactile it was, that you realised, hey, this is changing everything. Um, So in another world and parallel universe, maybe somebody beat Apple to some spectacular toy.
Okay.
I mean, do you remember the movie The Man Who Fell to Earth with David
Mm-hmm.
Bowie
Mm-hmm.
years ago?
Yep.
Well, of course, the Bowie character. This was before we had CDs, and he invented a new musical format. If you remember, they were like golf balls.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in a little tray, and it's like a golf ball was, all the data was in the golf ball. So instead of being a flat plane like a CD with data written into the surface, the golf ball had it on the surface and inside it too. So it held this golf ball thing held a massive amount of data. I mean, the movie never went into it in depth, but you saw that and thought, hey, that's a good idea. Let's invent golf balls for our music collection. But then again, it didn't happen. CDs came along instead. But so you can't totally predict. But maybe in another world, it would have been CDs would never have been invented because golf ball type things would have taken their place. They'd have been a nightmare to actually file. Can you imagine having a
Yeah.
bookshelf full of?
Yep.
Yeah, but you get the idea. They'd have found a case for them. um, yeah. So we never know what's coming. I mean, half the fun of living is actually just sort of keeping up to date with what's going on and trying to spot what's around the corner before it comes.
Like the Mel Burns newsfeed.
Ah, yes. And with that, we return to square one, don't we? We better round up. I think we've had our fill for this week.
Yep.
We're over an hour again, aren't we? Okay. Now, later in August, we're going to take 2 weeks holiday, actually, more or less, unless something important comes along. But we still have, what is it, 2 shows to go until then, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it? I believe. Yeah, one
Yep.
1st of August next week and the second week of August. Yeah, okay. So for now, I can actually accurately predict that we will be returning same time, same place next week, and yeah, that's about it. So I shall do the. Okay. I should have tried to think of a new. We're running out of ways of getting out of this show. It's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him,
Yeah, as always.
as
It's
always.
goodbye from the mischievous duo, the pair. What did they used to call Batman and Robin? Something duo.
Dynamic duo.
Yeah, okay. It's goodbye from us, the dynamic duo of Metaworld News. Until next time, goodbye.